Out. I'm excited to try them. Today's Daily Ticker is presented by our great friends at Pelican Brewing Company. With the return of the warmer weather, it is here. Pelican Brewing brings back its summer seasonal beer, Pelicano, available in clear glass bottles. It's refreshment. You can see I'm super excited to talk to our guest. We get him on from time to time. He's a super busy dude.
Yes, he is.
He is out there laying the bets, giving all the sweats, and he is right now probably at a pucker factor of 1 million. His Arkansas Razorbacks are getting ready for the College World Series, and he's going to give us his thoughts on all of it. Joining us now is Colin Wilson of the Action Network. Colin, good morning. I want to get to all the sports stuff with you, but I first want to ask you a show-related question. We have stumbled across anti or love cruises. I am super against cruises, but we have listeners who love cruises. Colin Wilson of the Action Network, are you anti-cruise or pro-cruise?
I am anti-cruise. You will never find me on one, but if we have a pandemic again, you better believe I'm investing in stocks in cruises because people love to go on them. So that's my stance.
Okay, that's a good answer.
It's a smart business move right there. Yeah, there's no middle ground on cruises. You're either in love with them or you're never going to go anywhere near one. And Colin, I think that's the right answer right there. Looking at the regionals starting this weekend around baseball, what are some of the things that you see, the host sites, where teams are going? What are some of the things that just stood out to you? You follow college baseball closely, much closer than we do, even with our local team. So what's standing out looking at the regionals this weekend?
Well, let's go ahead and start with the Oregon State Beavers. And I appreciate you guys having me on the show because it still hurts after 2018 to talk about the Oregon State national title. Them getting an 8 seed was completely about the fact that they decided to turn down the Mountain West, go to an independent schedule, play the toughest RPI schedule they could. They got swept by Oregon and still got a better seeding, a super regional seeding. So that really stuck out to me. It's going to pay off for them because they'll match up with Florida State, who I don't think can win the Tallahassee region. Once you get past that, I loved Oregon's season. This is a team I wanted to back, and just, because I know we only have 10 minutes. I think their number is completely underpriced. I think they should be minus 290 to win Eugene. They're only about minus 210 out there. I think Oregon is going to take that. I think Arizona's been floundering. This is a region I like the Ducks, but you're going to have to go to North Carolina, maybe the hottest team in the nation. You're going to travel cross country. And I think this applies to football. We've seen it in basketball, this new Big Ten conference where these teams have to travel 2 or 3 time zones, and they just look like completely different animals. And that has worked in all 3 of the big sports and in the NCAA. So I don't like the draw for Oregon. I like them to win the regional. I just have a really bad feeling, especially with how hot North Carolina is.
I hate to ask you this question, but I just can't help but think about it because you're an Arkansas guy, and thank you for acknowledging 2018. That was a great moment for us out here. But let's play some truth here, okay? Sam Pittman is absolutely rooting against the baseball team. The basketball team had a great one with Calipari. If the baseball team gets back to Omaha, Pittman's going to have even more pressure on him going into next season.
I don't think Pittman is worried about the other sports because I think everybody around the program knows this is the swan song year. Travis Williams, our DC, is probably on his way to being a head coach somewhere. Sam Pittman has mentioned being retired a number of times. He's done what he can do with this program. And our athletic director has also said, hey, remember, Pittman was my 6th choice for head coach. The writing's on the wall. I think we've got to throw Sam out in the land of sharks and let him get eaten by this number 1 strength of schedule, and we'll have a new head coach next year.
That is phenomenal. Hey, by the way, I didn't even really want to hire this guy anyways, all right? He was my 6th choice. He wasn't even top 5, man. I just couldn't get the other 5 guys to come around. That's a hilarious line. I was curious to ask you too, Colin, because we're starting to get some of these over-unders come out in college football, and it's interesting when you look at it because I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong on this and caught in the moment, that in years past we used to have a lot more double-digit over-unders for teams, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if we even have one in the SEC. I think the highest might be 9.5. There's a couple. I know Oregon's one of them in the Big Ten. There's not a lot of double-digit over-unders. I'm curious what you make of that and what are some of the kind of numbers that are early in next football season that are standing out to you.
Yeah, the only team that I have projected there's only 2 teams I have projected to get close to 10, which is Texas and Alabama. And I think what you're seeing is maybe odds makers are starting to realize that these head coaches are maybe planning on load management. I hate to say that because it's an NBA term, but you can go 10-2 and you can make the college football playoff easily. Ask Tennessee. So do you need to win all 12 games? Do you need to start a quarterback who's been injured? Do you really need to Ohio State, if Will Howard takes a seat over there in Eugene, right, they still made the college football playoff and even lost another game. I think Ohio State might be the prototype of how to win the national championship. Hire the best coordinators you can, spend $20 million on NIL, and just make sure you go 10-2.
Yeah, Colin Wilson, the Action Network, is our guest here. Daily Ticker brought to you by Pelican Brewing. So who is the team that you've got your eye on? Are you going with the obvious favorite in college baseball, or are you going with odds? Like, where's Colin Wilson right now, and who he is willing to back to win the whole enchilada outside of maybe your Arkansas Razorbacks?
Yeah, we're going to have to go outside that because my largest investment was on the Razorbacks at 14-1 in the beginning of the season. I do like North Carolina to make it to Omaha. I think LSU has been given an absolute cakewalk into Omaha. I really don't even think it's fair what the committee did. They should absolutely run through their set. I think Clemson might be in a little bit of trouble. UCLA should not have been a number 1 seed. I actually make Arizona State and UC Irvine favored over UCLA in every single pitching matchup. I think Southern Miss has a shot as a 16 regional seed to go to Vanderbilt and get a little bit of an upset. Ooh. I think people don't realize about this Vanderbilt team is that they are an excellent pitching team and they are an excellent defensive team, and they always have been every year. This team has no pop. I mean, they're outside the top 150 in slugging and homers per 9. And then another one I'm fading right away. I think the number 2 seed Texas does not get out of their own building. I think UTSA, who has already gone to Texas and beat them this year, I think they're listed about 3-1 out there to take that regional. So when you're asking me like who's going to win it all, I can tell you the people who I don't think are going to win it all, but I do like Arkansas, Oregon, North Carolina, the teams I've already mentioned. I like to advance.
How many title tickets are you holding right now?
Oh, my God. Of the 16 regional seeds, I have about 9 of them. And I think people are like, well, this guy's a degenerate gambler. No, Colin is somebody that literally starts betting. After the college football playoff, I immediately open up the sports book and start going week to week to week on college baseball. And the very first bet I made on the season was 35-1 on Oregon State. I said, this is an independent schedule. This is a team loaded with MLB talent. Avila Arquette is probably maybe the best player that's going to hit MLB. So, I start buying these things maybe every 2 weeks, and I look for numbers on dips, right? Georgia fell to 40-1 at one point this season. When you look for the dips and you can buy those dips, you get to this point in the season, you have a pretty good portfolio.
So if you had to make a choice, you mentioned North Carolina, how tough they're going to be for Oregon to have to go to Chapel Hill if they get out of the Eugene regional. Oregon State would be hosting their super regional if they can advance out of the Corvallis one. Would you bet Oregon State to get to Omaha, or would you take a flyer and say you think Oregon can pull off that upset, and maybe do you see both getting to Omaha?
I see Oregon State getting to Omaha. I really have issues with Oregon going to North Carolina. They are very hot. And then look at Oregon State's draw, right? So I don't have a problem with TCU in this regional. Once you get past that, you're going to draw Florida State, whoever wins Florida State. I don't even think Florida State's winning that. They have to face an SEC team and Northeastern, the hottest team in baseball. So Oregon State may be getting a Northeastern to come up to their view. And then once you get past that, think about the seeding in Omaha. Oregon State would draw the number 1 seed, and I just mentioned that I think Southern Miss can beat Vanderbilt. So Oregon State's draw is extremely gratuitous.
We're a blue blood, 2018, you learned the hard way. That's what happens when you're a blue blood. You get things gifted.
2 outs, 2 strikes, pop up in the air. My national championship was gone.
Yeah.
I mean, that's that's Pat Casey.
Yeah.
That's just what Pat Casey does.
It's the legend of Pat Casey.
He makes people not
He blows
catch
from the dugout to push
flies.
the ball away from somebody's glove. He has that, man. I've had a lot of heartbreaking losses in my life as a fan, Colin. I don't know if that would take the cake.
3 guys
for me.
watching a pop
year.
fly. Just couldn't believe it.
Last year, guys, was the first time I got credentialed into Omaha. I was there for 10 or 11 days, and you know where I stood? I stood right past the first base dugout and stood in the triangle of death and just cried.
It was
Did you take
orange,
a chicken and sacrifice it on the field or something? Did you bury anything? You got to do something to get the mojo.
If the NCAA heard that I did that, I'll never be allowed to go back. So we won't say that.
Your secret is safe.
Are you going back this year?
It depends on who makes it. Of course, if Arkansas makes it, I'll be there. We're looking at, there's some things with the Supers. We'll see how it goes with the Supers. If we play Tennessee, I'm going to have to cover that. So I think it's all about Arkansas's path, whether I make it up there.
My man, good stuff. I know you enjoy this stuff. I know you live for it. Good luck with that 35-1 Oregon State ticket. I know also good luck to your Arkansas Razorbacks. It's going to be a lot of fun. We appreciate you hopping on this morning and giving us all the insight and lowdown because you're more informed on most of that sport than we ever will be. So thank you so much for joining us this morning, and good luck to Arkansas.
Yeah, thanks. Good luck to Oregon State. See you guys soon. Thank you.
There we go. Great stuff from our good buddy Colin Wilson of the Action Network. You can find him on social media. He does do great work for the Action Network. He does a lot of college football, Obviously, what you got there, a lot of college baseball. He's an Arkansas fan, so he's lived through heartbreak, but he really knows the sport really well. Thinks the Ducks have gotten a raw draw, and Oregon State's got a real good path to get to Omaha.
They got a great path to get to Omaha. And I did, following the Florida State stuff, him not loving Florida State, even getting out of that. I mean, Oregon softball just went through this, and they're super regional. They got to play Liberty, and they're super regional, which you're like, hey, the little engine that could stories can be fun, but you would much rather play a team without loaded Major League Baseball talent and lesser than in your super regional if you can. So if they don't get out of Tallahassee and you're able to win your regional and you get a lesser team, that's a great break for them. North Carolina, according to him, hottest team on the planet right now going into the postseason, so that's cool, but we'll go knock them out. We'll go to Omaha this year.
That was the Daily Ticker, brought to you by Pelican Brewing Company. Don't forget they got Pelicano since it's the summer seasonal beer coming out. They also got some sodas coming out. We're going to try those pretty soon and let you know how great they are. They're available in clear glass bottles. It's refreshment you can see. That's the Daily Ticker, Colin Wilson Action Network. Coming up next, a